You're right. A film that's not looked after for 35 years, it was degenerated. It was torn, ripped, scratched. And the most important thing, the colors are all faded. Colors fade.
Bad stock.
That's right. And another person who loved the film, who worked for Deluxe Laboratories in Sydney, took it upon himself, and again, on his own time, to restore the film, and he did so digitally, frame by frame. It took him 2 years. But he produced a print that was incredibly beautiful. This is the print that we're going to screen here in New York on October the 5th.
So Scorsese came along at what point with his film foundation?
Martin Scorsese, what happened is the film was invited to participate in the Cannes Film Festival in 1971. And at the screening, I was sitting in the front row where the director sits, and there was a voice behind me all through the film saying, "Wow, what a film! Wow, this is a great scene," etc., etc. And of course the incredible climax, which was way out there. He kept saying, "This director's going to go all the way. Oh my God, he's going to go all the way. Oh, it's so great, he went all the way." So I got up, and when I left the cinema at the end of the official screening, I looked back and I see this young 25-year-old young man. So I went and I said to the PR guys, "Hey, there was a guy sitting behind me. Do you know who he was?" They said, "No." "Well, no. Oh, there he is. He was just coming out of the movie theater." And I said, "That's him." He said, "Oh yeah, he's a young American director. He only directed one film and it flopped." I said, "Well, you tell me his name." "What do you want to know his name for? He's a person of no interest." I said, "Do you mind telling me his name?" "Do you know his name?" He turned to the other PR guy and he said, "Yeah, it's Martin Scorsese."
Who's That Knocking, I guess, was his first film.
He was 25 years old, yeah.
Yeah.
I said, "You're right, never heard of him." Now, dissolved 38 years later, after we made this print that I talked about, it was the Cannes Film Festival invited it back. It was declared a Cannes classic and screened at the Cannes Festival. Only 2 films in the history of Cannes have been screened twice.
What's the other one?
Michelangelo's Antonioni's L'Avventura.
Oh, wow. Nice company.
Nice company is right. And guess who's head of the Cannes Classics department?
Could it be Martin Scorsese?
Absolutely right. I found it, I gotta tell you, Steve, I just found it very moving that this man who sees hundreds and hundreds of films remembered my film after 38 years and declared it a Cannes classic.
Well, it is a waking nightmare, isn't it? It's almost like a Twilight Zone episode. This young teacher who's kind of bitter and sarcastic about being put in the outback at a one-room schoolhouse where he's not really appreciated. He looks good, he's got a college degree, but he's had to go serve there because I guess there was an Australian rule about if you borrow money, they can send you to any school place to fulfill your debt or whatever. And so he's trying to go away for a 6-week vacation back to his girlfriend in Sydney, and he never makes it. He ends up in this
mining town called Buntunyaba.
Yeah, Buntunyaba. What a place.
For what I call 5-day daymare. Not a nightmare, a daymare.
Yeah, and somebody said to me as I was watching it, you can get high and drunk just watching them drink beer in this movie. I mean, it's just, they're prodigious outbackers here, these men in this town who do nothing but drink and sit around and
shoot kangaroos and fight.
Yeah, yeah. So I would understand why Australians would not necessarily flock to a movie that presents this image of who they are,
No, you're absolutely right.
But what was the attraction for you as a director? How did you get from, you're not Australian, are you?
No, I'm Canadian.
That's what I thought.
Well, but you're right, Steve. At first I was kind of concerned about directing a film about a culture in a country that I knew very little about. But when I got out there, I felt that the outback was not dissimilar to the Canadian North, where you had the same vast open spaces that paradoxically were not liberating but claustrophobic and imprisoning. And the people, it was a similar hyper-masculine society. So, but I was interested. It's funny. A man out there said, when I went out there, he said, "You've come here to rubbish us, haven't you?" And I said, "No." He said, "Oh yeah, you're here to rubbish us." And I said, "Look here, I don't know you well enough to rubbish you. But secondly, I'm not here to condemn people for their behavior. I'm here to observe and empathize." I said, I'm not the judge of my characters. I'm their best witness. I want to examine, why are they behaving like this? Why are they fighting and shooting kangaroos and getting incredibly drunk? What are the situations they're creating? That's what interests me, and that's pretty well always like when I did The Prince with Eddie Kravitz. I'm always attracted, Steve, to people like Eddie Kravitz who don't know what's causing them to behave the way they are. The teacher doesn't know about the dark side of his character that comes to light and life, and that's always attracted me, a subject of the central characters who don't know who they are and what they're capable of under extreme circumstances.
Now, you mentioned already the climactic event in the movie, which is this bizarre kangaroo hunt in the middle of the night, where they go out and they have their headlights on in the middle of the dark, and the kangaroos are literally like a deer caught in headlights. They just sit there mesmerized by the light, and they're shot dead. And then they go up there, and the guy is basically taking off their balls to come home as a delicacy or something. So, or a collectible.
Mountain oysters.
Yes, Rocky Mountain oysters.
Oysters.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, it's funny because the minute the movie ended, I said, well, this is one movie the ASPCA would never condone. And then up comes the title that says this entire slaughter, which is obviously not faked, was done by the actual Australian authorities who were thinning the herds and wanted you to be there.
That's not the case.
What was it?
No, first of all, I would never kill. I'm against. I don't even hunt. I'm against hunting an animal and shooting an animal. I don't understand the pleasure out of shooting an animal and killing it.
And you're Canadian.
Yeah, that's right. And I certainly would never kill an animal for a film. To me, that's despicable and unspeakable. Anyway,
Right.
But so I didn't know how I was going to do that series. These drunken guys get some pleasure out of going out and massacring kangaroos.
Well, it's the only thing they can really kill. They can't kill each other.
That's right. And then one of the Australians came to me and he said, you know, Ted, they kill hundreds of kangaroos every night in the outback.
That's what I meant.
That's
yeah.
right. You're right, but you get the wrong motive.
Okay.
And I said, well, why? Well, he said, well, they get these big refrigerator cars, trucks rather, transport trucks, and then they send out 6 pairs of hunters in different directions in estate trucks, and they kill 10 to 12 kangaroos, and they bring them back and they hang them up in the refrigerator truck, then they go out and kill some more. So I said they kill 200-300 every night. I said, to what end? He said, well, they ship it to America for the pet food industry.
And they also skin them for
the nice cuddly things on the koala bears that you give your children at Christmas. They're their pelts.
So who knew? Kangaroo food was in our dog food.
That's right. And what happened was that I said, so all I did was I put my camera on the back of one of these trucks. I persuaded one of them to allow me to shoot. And I just photographed them doing their job, killing kangaroos every night.
And the production notes say that they wanted you to use the most graphic footage, and you said I only went up to like maybe 25% of what I could have shown.
No, you're absolutely right, Steve, because it was so horrendous. In fact, my producer, who came with me, who was a more delicate person than I was, he fainted.
Okay.
And I had to take him back and leave him back in the refrigerated truck.
Somehow he never would have lasted a weekend in that mining town.
No, he wouldn't. And what happened was that the Royal Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, they wanted me to use the worst footage. They said, and I said, why? They said, because no one knows what's going on in the outback. The Australians don't know what's going on in the outback.
Oh, that they're killing their kangaroos for profit.
Kangaroos for profit.
Oh, okay.
And I said, and what happened was that I said, I can't use that footage. It's so horrendous. It's so bloody. The audience will run screaming from the theater. It just was cruel, beastly. And but I gave them the footage I didn't use. I said, you should use that and use it for your propaganda films and inform the Australians what's going on. I only discovered 2 weeks ago that 10 years ago they banned the killing of kangaroos.